Democrats today pushing back on two fronts as Republicans push ahead on Benghazi. After a late-night meeting with leadership, Politico is reporting that Nancy Pelosi is now leaning toward a total boycott of the special committee. There's also growing criticism of this fundraising email sent by the National Republican Congressional Committee. It includes a link to donate up to $500 to become what they call a Benghazi watchdog.
Speaker Boehner can shut this fundraising effort down right now, and he should. You shouldn't be raising money with regard to this matter.
And it isn't just Democrats. Trey Gowdy, who's going to chair that special Benghazi committee, says Republicans shouldn't be doing this.
I have never sought to raise a single penny on the backs of four murdered Americans. There are still, and even in a culture of hyper-partisanship, certain things that ought to be above politics, like the murder of our four fellow Americans.
But Majority Leader Eric Cantor deflected the question when asked directly about fundraising.
There is much being hurled about right now, and I think it's best for all of us in these halls to focus on what the reason is for the creation of the committee, to try and get to the bottom of what else the White House is hiding.
I want to bring in Bob Herbert, senior fellow at Demos and former longtime columnist with the New York Times. Also, Washington Post politics reporter Jackie Kucinich. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
So the NRCC has this website. It's called the BenghaziWatchdogs.com that's asking for money. We're expecting to hear from Speaker Boehner sometime in the next hour. He's got his weekly briefing. Bob, is he going to have to do something about this?
I mean, I think he certainly should, and I'd be inclined to think that he will. I mean, we know that politicians play politics. That's no surprise. But some things ought to be beyond the pale, and this is a tremendous tragedy, and it should not be a fundraising tool.
And besides the NRCC fundraising, Jackie, Republican Congressman James Lankford is using Benghazi. He's running for the Senate in Oklahoma. Virginia Congressman Scott Rigell sent out a fundraising email this week asking for money to help him so he can, what he calls, hold the administration accountable. What's the risk for Republicans, those who at least try to push forward, both with the fundraising, with the hearings, and using it as a campaign issue?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They're using it as a campaign issue. If this committee hoped to get anything done and anything serious to come out of it, they shouldn't be fundraising off of it, or it's going to be seen just through a political lens. But in reality, this is an issue that fires up their base, and people probably want to give money because of it. But I have to say, this isn't just Republicans who do this. You'll recall during some of the gun control debate, you had Democrats fundraising after some of these horrible incidents involving gun violence. So this is a problem for both sides, and it makes it harder for some of these issues to be taken seriously in a bipartisan way.
But is it a leadership moment potentially for John Boehner, Jackie?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Is it a leadership moment for John Boehner?
He could try to pull them back and try to get them to stop fundraising off of this. Absolutely.
Tonight around 5:30, the House is going to vote on forming this committee. Nancy Pelosi is upset. You know, she wanted an even split. She says, look, this is how we can make it not look so partisan. Let's have the same number of Republicans and Democrats. But the decision was on the Republican side that there'd be 7 and 5. How does she navigate this, do you think, Bob?
Well, you know, I think boycotting it is not a bad idea because, you know, no matter what the breakdown is, as this goes forward, it is partisan. I mean, the entire point of the committee from the Republicans' perspective is to gain partisan advantage, both in the upcoming congressional elections and then looking forward to the presidential election next year.
You know, we hear so much about how this is energizing the Republican base, but is this a way to use it to energize the Democratic base?
I think it's going to be difficult to energize the Democratic base on Benghazi. And where I see the Republicans potentially running into trouble is that I don't think that this committee can, this has been pretty much investigated exhaustively. I don't believe that they can come up with anything new or significant. And if they just keep pounding away at the issue, after a while, it's just going to look absurd.
Well, for one side, it looks like pounding. The Republicans would argue, Jackie, that what they're trying to do is get at the truth. And this morning on Morning Joe, Nicole Wallace, you know, the former Bush White House spokesperson, was saying, look, the Democrats could appear to have no appetite for getting to the truth. Is there a risk for the Democrats that the Republican narrative of a cover-up will stick?
You know, this has been an issue that has been exhaustively investigated, and these are the same people. The Republicans on this committee are going to be the same people that have been waging these accusations in the past. So it's hard to think that there are going to be political consequences for Democrats if they decide not to join this committee, because they can cast this in a partisan, over a partisan lens.
So do you have a gut feeling about this, Jackie? Do you think Pelosi will decide to boycott?
You know, I never underestimate Nancy Pelosi, and I wouldn't presume to know what she's going to do. But I will say there is a strong feeling that she might be doing that.
Okay, we're going to watch. We'll know later today. Jackie Kucinich, Bob Herbert, thanks to both of you for being here. Coming up, a subpoena coming.